Hi beautiful, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. In today's video, I wanted to do a second impression slash revisit on the Hourglass products that I did a full face on, specifically the Vanish Seamless Finish Liquid Foundation, and also I wanted to do a wear test together with the Vanish Finish Liquid Concealer. So these two are supposed to go hand in hand. They both give you a full coverage, and I really wanted to test it out throughout the day to see if the claims are true. Moving on to the foundation, it comes in 32 shades. This retails for $99 New Zealand, which is pretty pricey. And if you guys don't know, Hourglass is a vegan, cruelty-free, luxurious brand, so just keep that in mind. This has got a concentrated formula that will give you a medium to full coverage with just half a pump. We will test that half a pump. It provides a second skin appearance through seamless, smooth application. It is also claiming to be long wearing, sweat proof, waterproof, and fade proof. So I'm only gonna be testing the fade proof and long wearing because honestly, it's currently winter in New Zealand. I'm not gonna be doing like acrobatics or going to the gym later on, and I'm not gonna dive into the water to see if this is waterproof. It also gives a satin finish, which is pretty nice for a full coverage, because usually full coverage foundations will give you like a matte or a soft matte finish. On my first impression, I did like how it looks on my skin. It's not really sitting on top of my skin, which is quite nice. On the website, I think they recommend you to apply this foundation with a brush as opposed to a sponge, because it will give you the coverage that you wanted. And also it will give you more of like a lightweight finish as opposed to a sponge where you're really packing on the product. So I'm not gonna use the Mineral Veil primer with this foundation, because I do know for a fact that that Mineral Veil primer will make any foundation last throughout the day. I have used it for years, repurchased it for years, and I could guarantee you that that primer, honestly, if you want your foundation to last for a good while, grab that primer and you could use it with any foundation you have. What I love about this dispenser right here is that it gives you exactly half a pump, so you don't go overboard. Sometimes foundation pumps will pump a little bit too much product that can tend to make you apply even more product as you would normally do, and then it will result to having like a very thick product sitting on top of your skin, if you know what I mean. But this one is controlled, so you literally get half a pump. So we'll see how much the pump can go. So what I'm going to do is to just use a foundation brush. The color that I have in this is Golden Tan. It has a little bit more of a peachy orange undertone, which I don't like when it comes to foundation, but again, it's kind of hard to match your foundation when you're purchasing online. Color is not terrible. I could work with it. That half pump covered half of my face, and that's the coverage that it gave compared to this side right here. You could still see a little bit of gas peeking through, and also it didn't really extremely cover a lot of pigmentations that I have. But I mean, if you're on the go, maybe you'll be happy with this coverage. I wouldn't say half a pump is going to cover your whole face, because literally half a pump only covered this side of my face and gave me like a light medium coverage. So I squirted another half a pump to cover the other side of my face. It has a little bit of like a organic sweet scent, but it's very faint. It's nothing that you'll get nauseous when you apply this foundation. So this is what my skin looks like with a full pump of foundation. I could honestly tell you that I'm pretty happy with this coverage. I mean, I could use a little bit on this area right here, on my chin area, because I'm currently breaking out, and also on the jawline here. But for the most part, I could get out of the house looking like this. The foundation honestly feels very lightweight. It doesn't fully dry. It has a little bit of like a stick to it. I wouldn't say it's tacky, just like a little bit of stick. You can't really feel it on the skin for the most part. it feels like you just applied like a layer of moisturizer. I know it's strange, but that's what it feels like on my skin, and then it kind of just sinks into the skin. It doesn't look cakey on my skin. I do love the fact that it has a little bit of like a dew. So what I'm going to do is to apply just half a pump and kind of go over the areas that I really need coverage. I could definitely tell now that the undertone is a little bit off. On my first impression, it didn't look that bad, but now that I'm revisiting that product once again, it kind of looks like it's oxidizing. I'm just gonna go over the areas that I want it to have like a skin-like finish with a sponge. And this is full coverage. And I basically applied 1.5 pumps. If you do have a good skin with less dark spots or acne marks, I could probably get away with just having half a pump and kind of concentrate it on the areas where you really need to conceal. Whereas if you're like me, who's got a lot of acne marks and scars, 1.5 pump is great. Again, it doesn't feel heavy on the skin. So this is the Vanish Seamless Finish Liquid Concealer. This retails for $60 New Zealand, and it comes in 22 shades, which is fairly decent for a concealer. It is a weightless liquid concealer that imparts full undetectable coverage with an airbrush finish. Again, I feel like they would recommend for you to apply this concealer with like a buffing brush. So this is a long-wearing, crease-proof and waterproof formula that hides imperfections, dark circles, discoloration, blemishes, age spots, and hyperpigmentation. It also has microspherical powders to fill in the lines and ensure a smooth, even application. Your skin will look natural, brightened, and refreshed. As you can see, I have like a really bad bluish dark circle at the moment because of not having enough sleep. So the color that I have is called Beach, and I've touched on about this concealer. From the packaging, it looks a little bit lighter, but actually the actual product is a little bit darker than you think. Comes with this like triangular doe foot applicator, which I think is nice because it has a lot of product that you don't have to constantly dip into the tube. So what I'm going to do is to just conceal this part of my eye right here and this part right here. Because it's a full coverage, I don't want to apply too much. I am going to first use a small pointed buffer brush. So definitely a little goes a really long way. Like, I still have a few products on my brush that I could spread it all the way down to my nose. It does look a little bit thick on my under eye. I think it's just my under eye being dehydrated, but I do love how bright my under eye looks. It doesn't sink into the fine lines. I could see that it kind of dried into a more powder finish, but you could still blend it a little bit. So I'm just gonna go over it with a sponge just to take away a little bit of the excess product, as well as really push it into my eyes. That little bit definitely gave me a full coverage, because usually when I apply concealer, I would have like a really bad line here that I have to go over it, but for this instance, the concealer immediately covered everything, and I don't need to add another layer, which is favorable for me because I don't want to pile on a lot of product on my skin. And that's really nice. Like, if you compare this side to this side, you can tell the difference. So I'm quickly gonna catch up the other side. So I kind of let this side right here sit to see if it will settle into my fine lines, and I could tell you that it didn't. The finish that it gave is pretty flawless. So here is what my under eye looks like. I am going to set my face using the Hourglass translucent setting powder. I got the travel size because the full size is almost $100 for just a powder, and I don't want to spend that much money. So I'll just speed this through, just set the areas where I wanted to set, and then I am gonna go over and bronze my face, apply blush and highlight, and I will come back for the check-in part. I will link the products that I use down below if you're interested. I use majority of the Hourglass based products, such as the blush and the highlight, and the powder as well. For bronzer, I use the e.l.f. Cosmetics bronzer, and for my lips, it's e.l.f. Cosmetics Lip Plumping Gloss, which I pretty much use all the time. So looking at my face right now, the color is a little bit off, like it kind of matches my skin tone, but the undertone is more on the peachier side, which is a little bit annoying because I could never find the right shade for my skin tone. But then if you look at it from afar, it's not that visible. I mean, if I put my hair down, it's not too much of a difference. My face right now looks so flawless. It looks like I put a filter on my face. It's so smooth. Mind you, I did not use a primer at all. I just used my normal moisturizer, and my pores around this area right here and here is not visible. Like, it looks like there's a film of filter that covered everything. I do love the mixture of the Hourglass translucent powder with the foundation because it created this very natural satin finish without making me look really greasy. I also love how the blush glided on smoothly on the foundation. It kind of created that lit from within without having to try too hard. I think that's what I really like about Hourglass Cosmetics. They are very pricey, but the quality of the products that you get is so good. And also, most of their products are skincare infused. Therefore, if you use it over time, you'll see a huge difference in your skin texture and your pores, and also how your skin looks. The current time right now is 11:28 a.m. so it's almost lunchtime. I will check back with you guys in a few hours to see how everything holds up. Just remember, we are only testing the long wear and the fade proof of the concealer and the foundation. Everything else, we'll probably test it out in another video. Hi, I'm back. I just got off work and the time right now is 6:52 p.m. so it's almost 7 p.m. and I've been wearing this foundation for roughly 8 hours. And let's see what we're looking like. For the most part, the coverage is there. Everything is still blurred, but then I could see a lot of shine on my forehead and also around the nose area. The coverage is still pretty intact. Nothing really broke apart or did like a dodgy sinking into pores and fine lines around the chin area, which mainly is my problem when it comes to wearing foundations, especially if I don't wear any primer at all. I feel like my natural oils plus the moisturizer kind of mix into the foundation, causing it to break apart, and then it leaves me with like a disgusting bunched up area where the foundation is too cakey, but this one doesn't. So before I powder the foundation in, I want you guys to have a look and see what the actual face is looking like. Honestly, I could still get away with wearing this foundation like in this state for another 2 hours. Like, the sheen obviously is not that of a big deal. I could always blot it with like a tissue or a blotting paper. The cheek and everything else is still intact, so I could guarantee that the smudge proof and the long wearing aspect of both the foundation and the concealer are true. Because I can get a little bit oily everywhere, I see a little bit of creasing on these area right here where the oil kind of meshed into the foundation and sunk into my fine line. It's nothing that will affect my entire makeup. Like, it's an easy fix. I could usually just tap it in with my finger and I'm ready to go. So as I'm doing that, it looks like it's back to how it was when I first applied it, and I could still see a little bit of matte area around the under eye, which I'm pretty happy about. Usually concealers that claims full coverage and airbrush and lightweight doesn't really do a great job. So far, the only concealer that I could honestly compare it to is the Australis Fresh and Flawless when it comes to longevity and the coverage and also how it looks under my eye. So I'm going to try and blot my face with a sponge to see if anything is going to get lifted. As you can see, it still looks like I've just applied my foundation. It looks pretty good. It's very rare for me to find a foundation that lasts this good towards the end of my shift, because usually around 8-hour mark, that's when everything breaks down, especially if I get too hot because of the heater. So what I'm going to do is to just apply a little bit of pressed powder on the areas that I needed to mattify, to see if it's going to look a little bit cakey. After light dusting of powder, the sheen from the highlighter and the blush is still there. Everything is still intact. I could see my blush still, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the foundation and the concealer. Will I wear this two combos on a daily basis? Probably not, because I could feel like my pores will get clogged almost, because it's such a very full coverage that my skin can't breathe. I would probably wear this on days where I needed to go somewhere after work, I needed to have less to no touch-ups at all whenever I go places. I would highly recommend the foundation and concealer. If I were to pick between one or the other, I probably would go for a concealer, because that's the cheaper option. Plus, if you're into a more lighter coverage or lighter product, the concealer will help, because not only it will conceal everything underneath the eyes, it can also conceal your blemishes and the redness and dark spots that you have. But if you want to splurge a little bit of extra cash to get a foundation, I would suggest the foundation as well. Just be mindful that Hourglass Cosmetics is a luxurious brand. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more updates. Let me know your thoughts about the foundation, and let me know if there's any other suggestions that you would want me to film. I'm more than happy to do them, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.